Good day, and welcome to our March 21st, 2021 worship service. My name is Joy Hembel, and I am your worship service coordinator for today. Whether you are joining us for the first time or you've been a member for a long time, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known or not known, whatever your heritage, you are welcome here. Whatever questions you hold, whatever truths you seek, whatever sorrow you have known, whatever joy has filled your heart, whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. Today, this first full day of spring, our minister Alan Sogstad will share his reflections on spring, hope, and new life. We are able to have this virtual worship service because of the help of many. I particularly want to thank our musician, Deborah Reed, Paul Thompson for his technical support, and Minister Alan Sogstad for his patience with the worship team as we continue to learn how to master new technologies. Now please prepare for worship as we listen to Deb Reed play variations on For the Beauty of the Earth. I will now light the chalice and read the words adapted from Israel Zangwill. Come into the circle of love and justice. Come into the community of mercy, holiness, and health. Come, and you shall know peace and joy. Please join us in singing our hymn number 270, O Day of Light and Gladness.
Our first reading is To Free the Heart by Francis Anderson, Jr. Through dreary sodden days the field sponged up the graying skies.
And now the sun lies soft as birth again, as if the earth had just begun.
And blossoms on the vines designed in spring come out to sing again.
And everywhere the ripening pushes falling leaves apart to free the heart for freshening.
As through the seasons of our years,
becoming often waits the nourishment of tears. So ends the reading.
Today's story for all ages kind of dovetails with last Sunday's story, or last Sunday's messages about people, remembering people who have died from COVID. And so today, as we celebrate spring and the return of life, we know that life and death are two sides of the same coin. And so this book is called Life is Like the Wind, and actually is a beautiful description of dying in words that we can all understand. Life is a precious and funny thing. When a body is alive, it is filled with life. We can't see life in the body, but we know when life is there. Life makes the body move and feel and be with us. Life is a little bit like the wind. We can't see the wind, but we know when the wind is there. The wind makes leaves flutter and fur fly and kites soar high in the sky. When the wind goes, things are very still. They don't flutter or blow or fly or soar anymore. Where does the wind go when we can't see it moving things? It goes somewhere else. Life is like the wind. The body is very still. The body cannot move or feel or do anything anymore. Where does life go when it leaves the body? People have different ideas about where a life goes when it leaves the body. Some believe the life enters another body to give life to a new creature. Others believe the life goes to a happy place called heaven, where the life can enjoy its favorite things. Some think the life goes deep into the ground, giving new life to trees and flowers, or that the life goes way up into the stars where it twinkles brightly and watches over us. And some believe that a little bit of the life stays behind, even when the body is gone. People remember and feel the life, still loving the life deep inside their hearts. When the life goes from a body, we can feel very sad. We may miss the life very much, but there are things we can do to feel better. Some people say prayers and talk to the life. Others like to collect memories of the life to help them remember. Some people like to spend time being kind to others. It makes them feel better to help others have good and happy lives. And other people just like to spend time quietly, alone, thinking about how precious life is. Life is very precious. We can look after our own life by eating well, taking care of our body, and doing happy things. We can help others look after their lives too, by being caring and kind to them. A happy and loved life will stay with a body as long as it possibly can. But when it is time for the life to leave, it will go. Those left behind might be very sad, but like the wind, the life must leave. It will go somewhere else. So ends the story for all ages today.
Now is the time when we ask for your help to do the work of our church through an offering. One half of our offering is given to a local charity. The other half is used for our continuing operating expenses. During this time period, the Board of Directors has chosen to give half of our collected offerings to the Banquet West, where many of us have volunteered and continue to volunteer. The Banquet's mission is to provide a welcoming place where people in Sioux Falls can gather, receive nourishment, and experience love in action. Please use the donate button on our church website or mail your check to the church. Please give generously. Please join me in saying the words to receive the offering. And thank you so much for giving to All Souls Church. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another.
Our second reading is In Time of Silver Rain by Langston Hughes. In time of silver rain, the earth puts forth new life again. Green grasses grow and flowers lift their heads, and over all the plain the wonder spreads of life, of life, of life. In time of silver rain, the butterflies lift silken wings to catch a rainbow cry, and trees put forth new leaves to sing in joy beneath the sky, when spring and life are new. So ends the reading. Earlier this week, when I went into the All Souls Church Library, I thought to myself, if I ever got a sabbatical, I could spend a whole month in this room and be very content. As you know, we've got some great books in our collection, and I would just like to remind you of that and to invite you to avail yourself of the opportunity. If you would like some books to read, get a hold of one of the board members or myself, and we'll let you in, and so that you can access the wonderful treasure that we have there. Of course, now we can access so much on Google, including quotes about spring. There are simple quotes like this one from A.A. Milne, the author of Winnie the Pooh. She turned to the sunlight and shook her yellow head and whispered to her neighbor, "Winter is dead." Or this humorous quote from Mark Twain. "It's spring fever. That's what the name of it is. And when you've got it, you want, oh, you don't know quite what you want, but it just fairly makes your heart ache. You want it so badly." Or this profound quote from Sitting Bull. "Behold, my friends, the spring is come. The earth has gladly received the embraces of the sun, and we shall soon see the results of their love." And this anonymous quote, "Spring is a lovely reminder of how beautiful change can be." Spring is a time of hope, a time of increased energy for many people, a time of increased confidence. For many of us, it's easier to get up in the morning, or at least it was until last Sunday when daylight savings time set us back a little bit. But the sun will soon be earlier and earlier, and it'll be easier to get up in the morning again. Nature is coming alive again. The birds are returning, the trees are budding, the grass will be turning green, and the perennials will start poking their way up through the soil on the south side of the house and of the church and everywhere else. Stephen Sutherland has said, "I believe in 4 seasons. I believe that winter's tough, but spring is coming. I believe that there's a growing season, and you realize that in life also you grow, you get better." However, for some people, maybe some among us, spring is not a very pleasant time. For some people, depression sets in or gets worse in the springtime. About 10% of the people with seasonal affective disorder have what is called reverse SAD. It occurs in the spring, just when the world of nature is coming back to life and people are getting outside and enjoying more sunshine and more warmth. These persons are growing depressed. It's similar to in December, when people become depressed at that time of the year, when everyone else seems to be so merry and decking the halls and doing all of their busyness of the holiday season, And these persons who become depressed for various reasons in December wonder, what's wrong with me and why do I feel so out of step? Even though seasonal affective disorder normally comes in the fall and winter and is related to the lack of natural light, but it can, of course, be treated with special lamps, as you probably know. Spring depression actually results in more suicides than at any other time of the year. In April and May, those rates are their highest. I found a rather long quote written by Charlotte Erickson, who describes her determined struggle to get through another day of recovery with these words in an essay called "You're Doing Fine." She writes, "Take a shower, wash away every trace of yesterday, of smells, of weary skin. Get dressed, make coffee, windows open, the sun shining through. Hold the coffee cup with 2 hands and notice that you feel the feeling of warmth. You still feel warmth. Now sit down and get to work. Keep your mind sharp, head on, eyes on the page, and if small thoughts of worries fight their ways into your consciousness, throw them off like fires in the night and keep your eyes on the track. Nothing but the task in front of you. Then get off your chair in the middle of the day. Put on your shoes and take a long walk on open streets around people. Notice how they're all walking, some in a hurry, some slowly, some smiling or laughing or eyes straight forward, hurried to get wherever they're going. And notice how you're just one of them, not more, not less. Find comfort in the way that you're just one in the crowd. Your worries also are not more nor less. Go back home. Take the long way just to not pass the liquor store. Don't buy cigarettes. Go straight home. Take off your shoes. Wash your hands, your face. Notice the silence. Notice your heart. It's still beating, still fighting. Now get back to work. Work with your mind sharp and your eyes focused, and if any thoughts of worries or hate or sadness creep their ways around, shake them off like a runner in the night, for you own your mind, and you need to tame it. Focus. Keep it sharp on track. Nothing but the task in front of you. Work until your eyes are tired and your head is heavy, and keep working even after that. Then take a shower to wash off the day. Drink a glass of water. Make the room dark. Lie down and close your eyes. Notice the silence. Notice your heart, still beating, still fighting. You made it, after all. You made it another day. And you can make it one more. You're doing just fine. You're doing fine. I'm reminded of this quote from Dr. Robert Schuller, whom I seldom quote, who advises us not to make rash decisions. Schuller writes, "Never cut a tree down in the wintertime. Never make a negative decision in the low time. Never make your most important decisions when you're in your worst moods. Instead, just wait. Be patient. The storm will pass. The spring will come." Spring is thus a reminder of hope and a catalyst for hope. And there is a difference between hope and optimism. And this is something we might want to explore further in our circle discussion today. A Jewish rabbi says, optimism and hope are not the same. Optimism is the belief that the world is changing for the better, and you might even believe that it will change on its own. Hope is a belief that together we can make the world better. And so hope is an active virtue rather than a passive one. Another author writes these words about the power of hope, and I find this especially meaningful as you think about dispossessed people, migrants, immigrants, minorities, And the list could go on of people that hold on to hope in the most difficult circumstances. He writes, "I've often wondered how people in war-torn countries are so resilient. I hear stories of mothers who have lost their husbands and their children in a bomb blast, or that had to leave their homes to survive, or been trafficked across countries and almost died of starvation on multiple occasions. How did they not give up?" Life is full of ups and downs. No matter how privileged we are, we will always face challenges. But hope can make us resilient in the darkest of times. A study by Dr. Valerie Mahomes found that kids who live in poverty thrived in adulthood if they maintained a hopeful attitude throughout their lives. In spite of poor health and limited access to resources, they were able to get a decent education and get stable jobs. Hope allowed them to soldier through difficult circumstances and create a brighter future for themselves. Hope comes down to belief in yourself and understanding that the world is made up of mostly good people. It's easy to internalize the constant negativity of the media and lose faith in humanity. But everyone is born noble, and regardless of how dire life may appear at times, we will always be able to collectively change our reality for the better. And I think that's one of the keys, is the fact that when we're part of a community, we're not just reliant on ourselves alone. We're not just reliant on our own resilience, but instead we can tap into the resilience of the people around us, so that when I feel down, you may feel up, and you are able to inspire me, and then other times it's vice versa. We can also benefit by listening to the stories of other people, seeking out meaningful stories from people who have overcome challenges and gained new perspectives that lead to increased hopefulness. Remember the words of Mr. Rogers, who said, in the face of tragedy, when terrible things happen and when terrible things are done by other people, to look for the helpers and be inspired by those who are trying their best to help, even in spite of the tragedy and the suffering. And so the author goes on, being optimistic is a good thing. It's great to be confident in something, but hope goes deeper and withstands even the most challenging circumstances. Hope encourages self-confidence and brings you inner peace. It motivates you to keep going. It lights your way when things go dark. It's often the last thing you hold on to when everything else is taken away from you. Hope is one of the most powerful things you can possess. And hope is contagious. The world wants to be hopeful. Springtime teaches us that. People want to believe in a brighter future. And so when you speak with hope, at least some people will listen. And the more hope you have, the more hope you will inspire in others. I've often been inspired by the words of the song Lift Every Voice and Sing, the so-called Black National Anthem. And when we had our Martin Luther King service last month, I was disappointed to see that this song wasn't on the list of songs that are familiar for us here. It may be familiar for some and not others, but it wasn't on the sanctioned list, so I didn't choose it last month. But the words, I will read part of it today, because these are a beautiful example of hope in the face of adversity. The second verse goes, "Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come, treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered." And then the third verse begins like this. "God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray." Hope that unborn had died. Sometimes it does seem as though hope has died, but sometimes it may not have died, and there may still be a spark of hope deep inside, which simply needs to be rekindled. I found a story from nature, from a springtime storm, which shows an example from the world of nature of the way that hope also can live again, even when it seems as though hope has died. This person writes about a series of late winter snowstorms, something like we had last weekend, and it caused damage to trees to an incalculable extent. All that heavy wet snow and then ice sent boughs breaking and trunks snapping like matchsticks in the Northeast where this writer lives. On my morning jog through the park, I was dismayed to see so many of the fruit trees injured, pruned by nature before they had even blossomed. I picked up a branch of a cherry tree that would have been covered by blossoms in another month. I decided to take it home with me anyway. I wasn't sure what I would do with it. Put it in a pitcher of water and hope that it would blossom? Not likely. I couldn't even see any buds on the naked branch, just the dried brown stubs of last year's fruit. Still, out of some instinct to salvage something from the debris, or at least to clear the path, I carried this branch with me. I'm sure I looked pretty silly running with half a tree in my arms. The branch still had ice on it when I got home and brought it inside. I filled our biggest pitcher with warm water, trimmed the limbs, and put it in. I don't think anything will happen to it, I told Carol. It's too soon to force a blossom out of an old stick. But 4 days later, a series of delicate pink-white flowers appeared on the branch and new buds on the tips. Hope doesn't need much to flourish sometimes. A bit of water, a willingness to look foolish, and the desire to trust. Spring is never too far away. Let it be so.
I will now extinguish the chalice. The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes with us out into the world.